Intro.
I think so. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're live. All the people saying that we're late or not late. I just launched the thing first. Welcome to my parlor where I am surrounded by all of my whiskey bottles behind me on either side. And you're only looking at like 1/25th of the overall collection. Maybe at the end of the show, I'll like pull out and show you what you can see. You can see more of this. So anyway. This week's episode of Here's What I Don't Get is brought to you in part by U-Haul. U-Haul fucking you over with ridiculous charges at every turn.
Hello, and welcome back to Here's What I Don't Get from North to South, East to West, the only formerly Conjuring-based podcast to tackle all of life's toughest issues. I'm your host, Tim the Handlebreaker, and with me today, as always, my good man, Ted Burt.
Welcome back, everybody. Big episode 294.
Yeah.
Getting close to the end. You may be able to tell if you're watching the video that I'm surrounded by a bunch of whiskey, so either I'm at a bar or I'm in my own home for the first time in forever. So
surrounded by whiskey. I mean, odds are you're at home.
Surrounded by whiskey. I got this cool map of Tulsa. I got this bottle right here. The Leaper's Fork bourbon.
Yeah.
That tastes like a big titty.
Now, only if the bottle looked like one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll call them and talk to them about it. Maybe see what we can do. Boy, what a week it's been. So Friday night, we recorded Thursday. I posted the show late Thursday. Friday night, I went and toured a place here in town. Saturday morning, I had an email that said that my application was accepted. So Sunday, I drove back. Saturday night late, I drove back to Tulsa, loaded a truck on Sunday, drove up here on Monday, unloaded a truck, and that was one of the worst ideas I've ever had.
Yeah, it was not a lot of fun.
It was a grueling weekend. It's the only way that could possibly be described. So, I rented a U-Haul to do this, but this 26-foot long U-Haul. And the first half of the truck I packed, and it's like immaculate. Just everything's floor to ceiling, lined up. and then
which kind of sucked because we got to that point in the truck after doing everything else, and it's like, why is the back half of the truck like there's so much more stuff in here?
Yeah, just think about it. The whole truck could have been like that. So anyway, yeah, not everything ended up making it, which was kind of disappointing, but it is what it is. Get it figured out. But one of the things
you got a good majority of it.
I got like 95% of it. One of the things that really annoyed me though was, everybody who's ever rented a U-Haul, they always give it to you and they go, "Oh yeah, you got to return it with 7/8 of a tank or 5/8 of a tank, or 3/8 of a tank, or some ridiculous measurement that's not on the fucking gas gauge." You rent a car from a rental car company, and this isn't even an issue. This is a bonus. You rent a car from a rental car company, and the rule is bring it back with a full tank. A full tank.
Not even that anymore these days.
Sometimes, you bring it back and you just pay a fuel surcharge. But you pick up a car that has a full fuel tank, and you return a car with a full fuel tank, or you've already paid for the final fuel tank, whatever the case may be. But fucking U-Haul, they give you this weird metric you can't see. So my truck was supposed to be at 3/8 of a tank. We finished unloading Monday evening. I went and parked the truck at some grocery store that's nearby. Tuesday morning, got up and went to breakfast, got the truck, took it back to U-Haul. And on the way back to U-Haul, I went and filled it up. And I did the thing you do when you fill up a U-Haul and you have to hit some arbitrary metric that they've set. And I had the thing pumping. I had the key in the ignition. I was watching the needle go up. Now, this is a gas gauge that has 3 markers on it. Can you guess what those 3 marks could be, Tim, off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, let's go full, halfway, and empty.
Okay, it has 5 marks then. Because it has full, empty, half, and a quarter and three-quarter mark.
Sure.
So to get to 3/8, being that I took middle school mathematics,
yeah,
I have to go slightly above the quarter tank mark, but not all the way to the half tank mark.
Yeah.
So I watch it. I make sure that needle gets fully on above the quarter tank line, and then I drive about 500 feet to the U-Haul dealership, turn the truck into what can only be described as the start of a comedy scene, because the guy checking the trucks in was walking with a cane, and it took him about 45 seconds to walk from the tail of the truck to the cab of the truck.
Oh, here's the thing, though. You didn't get to see the other side of that walk.
Yeah,
I did.
Which is from a car to the U-Haul truck.
Yes, but also including a bit where he dropped his cane.
Oh my god! I wish you had filmed that. That sounds hilarious. Yeah. So that was frustrating to deal with that guy, but no big deal. We went and did some other stuff for the rest of that day, and then I dropped you and Trucking and Tucking off at a car rental agency where you rented a car, and I'm sure it had a full tank of gas.
Yep.
And on my way back to my house, I was checking my bank account balance, and I saw this charge for U-Haul for $84 that went through same day. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I saw that I got an email from them, a receipt for your transaction, which I assume was just another receipt of my whole order.
Now that you're done.
Now that I'm done. So I went back and found that email and opened it up, and it's an invoice for a $30 fuel surcharge for not filling up their fucking tank, and 9 gallons of gas, which in a 50-gallon tank is about 20% of the tank.
Mm-hmm.
So I happened to be driving by this exact same U-Haul dealership, and I pull in and I go in and I pull up the invoice on my phone, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just trying to understand, because I'm looking at the invoice, and they put a little highlight on there where you brought the tank back at, and they're saying I brought the tank back at 1/8, which would be well below the quarter mark, which there's no way I could have burnt that much fuel in 500 feet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think there must be a mistake, because number one, that gas gauge doesn't have an 1/8 mark on it. It has only a quarter, a half, and a 3/4 mark. And I was well above the quarter mark. So someone might have looked at that and thought that it was only an 1/8 and not. But I tried to be friendly about it. They didn't even really look at it. They just refunded me the money, which kind of made me then start to think, oh, they do this to everyone.
They do this to everyone to scam.
And they hope that you're just like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm all done with now. Like, the hard part's done with now. I'm not going to bother dealing with this.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother dealing with this $84. Yeah. And I was happy to have them explain to me why I was an idiot, but I was waiting for them to be like, do you have your contract? And I was like, shit, I don't have my contract. My contract's at home. So I wouldn't be able to go prove that I was supposed to be at 3/8 of a tank. And if they had already put 9 gallons in it, like, what am I going to say? It was, I was down here. But yeah, so I was kind of annoyed by that. Those fuckers. You've already gotten my money. That's you got it. You win. Fuckers. So other than that, how was your week? How was your drive back?
Drive back was pretty cool. We stopped by the giant fireworks warehouse that was in Missouri. So they sold like bottle rockets, which you can't buy here.
No,
yeah, they're illegal to sell here unless you're on reservation land.
Yeah,
you have to go find a fireworks spot on reservation land or go out of state to get bottle rockets. So we bought a bunch of bottle rockets. We bought some stuff that is hopefully.
What are you gonna do with
them? In a little less than a year, we're going to shoot them at each other.
Okay.
Yeah, this wasn't for any certain event. It was, we're just stocking up for next year. I know it's early, and it's only been about a week. But, it's never too late.
Tell Trucking and Tucking to get like something that seals and something to keep all that shit dry for the year. That way we don't end up with a bunch of duds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also got a couple of, hopefully, things that can match up to the finale we did this year.
The finale of
we had that UFO thing.
Oh yeah.
We found it. We got all the spinny things they had
to try and chasing the high of a firework that we had so many years ago.
10 years ago now.
Yeah, next year we're blowing up 4 microwaves at the same time, stacked on top of one another.
Mm-hmm.
All the fuses come out. We'll tape them all together so you light them and and it'll be great.
The year after that, we're going to the moon. So blow a microwave up there.
We're going to blow a microwave up in space. So for people who couldn't gather it, Tim and Truckin' and Tuckin' both drove up here and helped unload because they are A-plus guys. I honestly don't think I could have gotten all this done without you because it was just me and my friend who lives out here for the first hour or so, and we got quite a bit done. But then we started getting to like heavy pieces of furniture, and I was pretty worn down from a day of loading and loading out a show.
And it being 102 degrees outside.
Yeah, and it being miserable. And then the next day, it was nice.
It was, but we were also we were in the direct path of the sun the entire time.
Yeah. So, for people wondering where I ended up moving, I'm renting Andy's air compressor. Yeah. I live inside of it. Yeah. So, he's not only is Andy a bigger man, but he has a bigger air compressor. So, yeah, that was a really, really fun weekend. And by fun weekend, I mean terrible. Tuesday, I was so stiff and sore. And then yesterday I woke up and I was finally feeling a lot better and closer to myself. Went and had to work early and then work today.
Yeah, that's what fun. Wednesday was like for me. Just the legs down, it was just waist down, just aching.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you again for your help, Tim, in front of everyone. But let's get into some issues. And so I think I get to go first this week.
All right.
Here's what I don't get. The Four Corners. That place where Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, and Colorado meet. Well, number one, the little placard of where those meet, that you go, the little place you see, it's fully in Arizona. It's not anywhere near the fucking actual border.
Okay.
So that's a huge scam. That's lying fucks. Yeah. So that's one thing. But no, what I'm actually talking about is, so in mythology, or in comics, if you consider comics mythology, there's always this divine weapon or thing that we defeated the bad guy and we took the crest of his family and split it apart and spread it to the four corners of the globe.
Okay.
That way they could never be reunited and he could be, destroyed. And let me tell you something.
The Dragon Balls.
The Dragon Balls, yeah. And then inevitably what happens, or the episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, The Gambit, where they're going after that ultimate Vulcan weapon and it's in all those pieces. So what always ends up happening is someone goes on a quest, finds all the pieces, puts the Galder amulet back together, defeats all the Galder brothers, and now has this amulet that gives you plus 10% magicka, stamina, and health. And you're like, that was kind of a worthless treasure for how much it's built up in the mythology.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you something. I've got a way better way to scatter a thing like that so that it's absolutely never found.
Mm-hmm.
And that is to pack it into a random number of boxes and ship it a few hundred miles away. It'd be lost forever. No point in scattering to the four corners. We broke apart Hitler's crest, put it in 6 different boxes, and then moved to the next town over. Couldn't find one of the pieces. I guess it's lost forever. There's no riddle that will solve this one. You're just fucked right in the ass. And you know what we're gonna do next? We're gonna take all the last 3 pieces we have. We're gonna pack those into new boxes and move them to the next city over. And you do that 4 or 5 times, and the thing is just fucking lost into the other realm where nothing will ever find it again. And that's where you are, and that's where I am. That's where I live right now. It's just all my shit is theoretically in this house.
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be, but I keep running into things where I can't find something. Yeah. Last night I'm unpacking the bar, and I get all my liquor was brought here in liquor boxes, which I know is a crazy concept. And so I'm going through all these liquor boxes, and I'm thinking there's a box missing. I have a mental inventory of what's supposed to be here. And there's a box that has like 2 different varieties of Jameson in it that I know I'm missing. I'm missing my Blanton's. I'm missing, like, in my head, I'm going down this list of all my Centauri whiskey. I'm missing all these things. And it's like, these could all fit in one box if they were together. So where the fuck did this box go? And ended up having to look all around and discovered that it somehow got put into my closet for absolutely no reason.
Weird.
Yeah, and so I was happy about that. But then I also have my little bar mat. It's one of those silicone mats that has all the little stubs in it, and it catches drip off for when you're making drinks. And I wanted to put that up on here because my idea is that I have these 2 great big shelves full of whiskey. They're kind of separated by type now, and they're all faced. So you can see everything on there. It's not just me going like, oh, shit, I forgot that I had a bottle of Bullet Rye over here, and now I need to like drink this Bullet Rye. I shouldn't have bought another bottle of it. But then the center is going to be like my prep station. So if people are over like watching TV in this other room or out in the backyard, I can come in here with a little bucket of ice and my shaker and make some drinks, put them on one of my multiple serving trays and take them wherever and distribute them to people. And so I want to have my little stippled mat there so that I can have all of my shit not get wet and gross.
Yeah.
And so that ended up not in the box of bar tools, not in any of the kitchen stuff, not with my ice making trays that are supposed to make clear ice that don't work. It didn't end up with any of my like kitchen tools of any kind, not in any of the booze boxes. I have no fucking idea where the stippled mat is.
Oh, you still haven't found it yet?
Still have not found it. And I ended up just going down and opening boxes and kind of digging and looking in there to see if maybe it just got thrown in the bottom of something or on top of something. Seems to have been lost forever. So I guess I'll have to buy another one of those. But then as soon as like that Amazon package will arrive and I'll open it and both fucking mats will be in it.
It'll be with a note from Amazon that says, "Hey, we found your mat. Here it is."
Yeah, it was out in the middle of the road on 44. It's crazy. It's a good thing you wrote your name on it for some reason. Yep. It's just so beyond irritating not to know where anything is. And like ideally, in an ideal world, I would have moved into this house and I would have started work like next week. Yeah. Instead of having been working for the last month and now moving, because
only able
now
to move a couple hours after work every day.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like shuffling through this stuff for the next 2 or 3 weeks as and plus then there's that whole thing where you move into a new place and you've got you have like your furniture and curtains and stuff from the last place you lived, but it doesn't like transfer over 1-to-1. Maybe this piece is too big or awkward, or maybe you decide to get rid of your sofa at some one point and now you have no sofa. So I'm going to be playing that game for the next month of being like, well, how am I going to store all my pots and pans in this kitchen that doesn't have a lot of cabinets? The pantry is obviously great to put all the like food supplies in, but where am I going to put all this stuff? And then deciding like, I need to buy like a little roll around rack for them, or hang hooks on the walls and hang everything. So it's just going to be this long, massive trial and error of moving. But I think I'm done. I don't want to fucking move again. I think I'm just going to go ahead and commit to this job for the rest of my life and just live here. It's fine. I'll just live in Andy's air compressor. Sure, every night at 11:35, it kicks on and the air pressure here gets almost unbearable, not to mention the noise. But that's fine. Also, here's a funny story, Tim. Tim, you've been on down the street. How would you describe my street?
In what way?
Just like your general impressions. If you were going to write like a little real estate blurb to try and sell someone on moving to this house, how would you describe the street?
Let's see. Air Compressor Lane is a small. I don't know. It's small. Like and that's the first word I would use because it's small and like tucked away.
Tucked away.
Yeah.
Anything else that like someone would be reading a listing and go like, oh, I want to live in a neighborhood that's like that. That's maybe quiet. Does the word quiet come to mind?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, guess what?
Not really. I mean.
About 30 U.S. Marshals just this morning, 6:30 in the morning, busted my neighbors for who the fuck knows what. Marched 9 people out the door in handcuffs.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think they might have mixed them up with me.
Yeah.
They were all like laying in the flower beds and shit with their rifles and whatnot. It was wild. It was some wild stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah. You guys should have stayed another night.
Should have stayed another night.
Yeah. Fuck? Yeah.
That wow.
Yeah.
So speaking of Air Compressor Lane, it baffled my mind. Just all of St. Louis, because I've driven through there a couple of times before, but usually it's just the major highways, and you're just sort of like skirting around it, you know. You can see a little bit of downtown. You punch through the middle. You can see downtown. You can see the arch, and it's like, wow, there's that stadium, and there's a lot of graffiti on this side of town, and then you go on through, but you give us a little bit of like a tour, and I could not tell. Like here in Oklahoma, you can really tell like the differences in like average property values of a street.
Yeah.
You can like tell like, oh, you shouldn't go down that street. Half the buildings there are condemned, and then 2 streets over, you've got like $1.5 million McMansions, because that's just how it is here. But like there's a clear divide in like the look of places.
Tulsa's very clear about having like, this is an area you don't go to.
Yeah.
Versus St. Louis, it'll be like, this street's not great, but the next street over is pretty all right, and then the street over from that is back to not great.
Yeah, and it all blends together because it's an old city, and all the buildings there were built before 1905 or something like that. Everything's made out of brick. Like no questions asked. There are no buildings there that aren't made out of brick, and so everything looks the same. And all the streets are very small. There are no big streets. And like everything's smushed together. Everything is also like taller because all the houses are thin but tall. They don't have attached garages. They have it, at least 2 floors. And they also have no concept of a grid system.
No, there's no grid system at all.
No grid system. There's not a single straight line on the map of St. Louis.
Yeah, I got lost today trying to get to work.
I bet.
Thinking like, I can just drive to work without Google Maps. I was incorrect.
Getting
home, no problem. Well, no, specifically from here. I know where my work is.
Yeah.
It's the problem was getting from here to there.
Yeah.
There's like that fog of war in video games where I haven't like discovered this portion of the map yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how's your car going? How's your car doing?
I haven't. There's no update.
No, I mean, how is it acclimating to all of the smoke?
Oh.
Now you're having to smoke in your car.
Yeah, I'm trying to cut down now that I'm not dealing with the stress of not knowing where to fucking live. So I'm down to just 2 packs a day. I was doing 5 there for a little while. That is funny. And it's a different type of city. It's way different from Tulsa. I guess every city's different from one another, and you kind of grow used to one. And then
I did like when we ran through downtown because it was humongous.
Yeah.
But because all those old buildings are old, like they're cool and not, modern.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things I like about here versus Tulsa is there's a lot of these little housing developments in Tulsa where they decided we're going to build 60 homes in this like a mile square.
Yeah.
And so they designed 12 homes and they just copy pasted them 100 times. And in St. Louis, that is not there. There are copy pasted homes, but they're like brick or they were built 100 years ago, and so they've kind of evolved a little bit. So they'll be like the same skeleton, but they'll end up as very different houses. And I think that's because largely everything was built before the World War II.
Yeah.
Stuff was made to last, whereas the things that are built now, like to pass an inspection for zoning in Oklahoma, you only have to use materials that will keep their structural integrity for 20 years. It's like there's a new hotel downtown that's where the YMCA used to be, and it's made out of wood in downtown Tulsa. A wood building. Like that's unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
Buildings in downtown should be made of stone or steel,
yeah,
or glass, or
building,
pure crack cocaine. Yeah, it's a wooden structured building with just siding and facade, hardboard facade.
It's so that 20 years later, once it's condemned, the hobos that move in, it'll be super easy for them to let it go up in flames.
Yeah, but yeah. So anyway, my stuff's all scattered all around. I've gone through this too many times to count, and yeah, I'm looking forward to going through a lot of these boxes and like because some of the stuff was in storage for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to going through and like figuring out what's what and putting that stuff away. And I'm already kind of rearranging. I had to rearrange the bar. It's on a different wall than maybe I had already moved it over to this wall before you guys left.
Yeah, you moved it. Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to that in some ways, and in some ways it's just like, please God, kill me now. But everybody will be happy to know Vice President Reacher is completely settled in. He does not give a single fuck about.
I mean,
he's
got his stuff.
Yeah, all his stuff made it, no problem.
All his stuff made it. You're there. He's got huge windows to people watch.
Yeah, he seems to love. So I have like a narrow covered front porch, and then the bedroom windows look out on the front porch, and the front room windows look out on the front porch, which I like because you get the joy of having a window, and the house faces west. But because it has an overhang and then there's trees and stuff, I don't really get direct sun, so it doesn't get too hot. And he loves hanging out in that window, just like watching the people walk by, cars go by, SWAT team members storm into houses. He's all about it.
I hope you get to see more of that.
I hope I don't. I really prefer not to have bullets flying in my general vicinity. You mess with the Crabbo,
what are you going to do?
Stab. I'm going to open fire back. Be on the news. Yep. St. Louis man kills a U.S. Marshal firing back through his front window after a bullet strikes his begonias. You sons of bitches! Well, what's your first issue, Tim?
Here's what I don't get. Owning material goods.
How far were we into unloading the truck before you came up with this issue?
70%.
Okay. Was it when you picked up the box of Blu-rays?
Yes. Yeah. That's what it was. I picked up your box of movies, and it made me reconsider my entire life.
Yeah.
I just got that tunnel vision from
Ratatouille.
Hitchcock or Ratatouille.
Hitchcock.
Either a Hitchcock zoom or that Ratatouille tunnel vision into the mind of like, because I've been doing some rearranging here and there, and I've been trying to get rid of a bunch of old stuff, which sucks because for big stuff you have to call it in here, and it's like it's gonna be $15. We'll set a date. You put it out on the curb and we'll come pick it up. But you have to tell us ahead of time what you're putting down. You can't just put whatever you want, because then they will exactly not pick up the added stuff.
Yeah.
But also, I just started like getting into,
physical media.
Physical, not certain types of physical media, right? I haven't been getting Blu-rays often, just because like I'll either go see the movie in the theaters, and if I see it in theaters and like it enough, um, I'll give it a rent once it comes out to digital, and I know a lot of people really like to have their favorite stuff, and either watch it or play it or whatever it is, read it over and over and over, and I think everyone wants to do that. I'm just one of those people that does want to do that, but like never gets around to it.
Yeah.
When someone asks me like, "Hey, what's your favorite movies?" and I can list them. I can list them off, but it's like, when's the last time I watched any of them? Even my favorite ones that I have on physical media, I'm not watching them once a year unless it's Rhinestone.
There's a bunch of movies that I like, physical media, that I have watched like once a year because they're my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Like My Fair Lady, I probably watch not quite once a year, but every couple of years. But like Independence Day, I watch it every year, and I have it on Blu-ray, DVD, 4K Blu-ray, not VHS though.
But see, like that's real easy to do because you have that attached to
a holiday
day, a specific holiday.
Yeah. Same thing with like V for Vendetta, Die Hard. Like there are movies that I kind of watch the same time of year, every year.
I think I've seen a lot of the slasher movies, the Jasons, the Freddys, the Michaels, a lot more than I have some of my other favorite movies, just because they're associated with Halloween. And Halloween, I always watch a lot of horror movies then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I picked up that box and it was just like it's just your movies. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And we're out in the sun and we've been doing it for hours, and I'm just like, I got to rethink my life. I don't want to be doing this, in a few years. It sucks. And I've got less movies than you do.
Yeah. But you also have other stuff.
So maybe if I like took all the movies in my family's entertainment system, maybe we'll get a lot closer. But I also have you also had your Star Trek books, right? All of your Star Trek books, because you have literally hundreds of them. Yeah. In these 2 giant boxes.
4 giant boxes.
4, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Like I've got all these books that I read them once and liked them or even loved them, but it's I don't know.
When are you gonna get back to them?
When are you ever gonna get back to them?
I think if I ever move again, the definite thing I'm going to do is throw a big party and drink down all the whiskey. Because that's one thing. Like, okay, yeah, I've got like 105 or 6 bottles on this bar now. I need to recount. That's cool. It's like it's a milestone. I like drinking them. I like sharing them. I like looking at them and talking about them. But that's 104 750 milliliter bottles of alcohol, so that just the glass alone, like that's a fixed weight.
Yep.
Disregarding what the liquid content is to add up that heat. I mean, it ended up being like 12 or 13 boxes, liquor boxes, to get all of just the whiskey. Plus, I still have 3 boxes of miscellaneous stuff: vodka, gin, cognac, triple sec. That's still over here. That doesn't even have a place on this bar. That I have to figure out, like, what the fuck am I going to do with this stuff? Where am I going to put it? And I'm thinking that I'm going to have like the bar. I'll have another shelf across the room where I have all that stuff and like my cigars and things like that I can go over to and just grab the 1 or 2 things that I need and bring them over to this.
Yeah.
For prep.
You collect whiskey the way I collect comic books.
Yeah.
In that, like you've got like the core, like let's say like core like distilleries or brands where they put out anything, and you're like, I'm gonna buy it, right?
Yeah.
Or I'll at least try anything Jameson makes or whatever, right? I'm the same thing with like writers and artists, and then there's all the stuff that you've collected that's like, oh, that looks kind of neat. Let me try that. Or you're like, oh, this is like an old brand that is rare, and I came across it, and I've never been able to try it before.
Yeah,
I got to get that now. When's the next time I'm going to be able to get it?
Like this bottle.
Yes.
Slap dick agave whiskey. So if the fact that the whiskey wasn't called Slapdick wasn't enough, it's made with agave nectar, or it's flavored with agave nectar. But I saw that name and I thought, I got to buy that. And then it's made with it's a real agave whiskey, and I thought, okay, well that's different than everything else that I have. Yeah. So now I want to try it, and it's fine. But so now this is like just on the shelf with all the other American whiskeys. Yeah.
Like if I do a little turn, I think, or squat maybe on video, you can see like I got a bunch of here behind me. And like these guys here are and that's the other thing, is like you don't collect the like singles of whiskey, right?
No.
The little one-shotters. No. How many bottles of whiskey do you have that are even half bottles, like a 350 ml?
None. I think I've bought one of those one time.
Yeah. I like the big fat hardcover.
Of course.
Omnibus size. Yeah, the bigger the better, right? And it just weighed on me when we were helping you move. It was like, it's all stuff that you like and enjoy. You have all your Lego. That was a lot of what we moved, and
a large number of boxes. Yes,
a large number of boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of got me thinking about like, what do I really want to keep?
And becoming a minimalist. I mean, I think
that's the other end of the spectrum, and that end of the spectrum is almost as annoying.
Yeah,
as being a minimalist.
Where you I think part of it is definitely like there's an aspect of hoarding that runs in my family, and I think
same.
I look at some of these things that I keep, and I go, am I like holding on to these things for the sake of holding on to them?
Yeah.
But I think I justify to myself, I guess, that at least 90% of them are functional in some way. Like, yeah, I have too many chairs, or I have all these shelves and I just keep buying more. The whiskey, for the most part, I'm not holding on to like trash. I'm holding on to something for a reason. Like I have, I keep all of the boxes for when I buy a Lego set and build it. I then flat stack the boxes and stack them inside another big Lego box until that one becomes too full to carry. And then I start the whole process over again. And I keep all the manuals, but that does come in handy because every so often one gets like knocked off a shelf and breaks, and you're like, oh, let me put this back together. Or I decide to rotate out what's on a shelf with something that's like packed away in storage, and now I have to rebuild it. So, a lot of that hoarder show, I think that hoarder show was kind of a detriment to people, in that most of what they showed was people who like collected. I have my bathroom is shoulder deep in used diapers that I can't throw away because I'm a lunatic. And you watch that show and you go like, this person's an idiot. They're like killing themselves with this, and they don't get it through. And then you don't stop to think about like, why do you keep buying Lego sets, building them, partially disassembling them, putting them in Ziploc bags, putting them in a cardboard box, and then never thinking about them again? And the other thing that I don't want is I don't want to end up being one of those guys where you get married and then you just all your stuff gets put in a storage unit forever. And so if you don't have like enough of a reason to own something, or if there's not a function, you're going to get shot down on those kinds of things, unless you can find a woman who's like a completely blank slate and will just accept whatever hobbies you maintain yourself. But yeah, I feel
that was part of the rethinking process for me too. You've got your whiskey, and it's nice to come home after a hard day of work, pour yourself a nice glass of whiskey, be able to choose. It's not just whatever swill the local bar has on tap.
Yeah.
It's also in the safety of your own home. You're not going to the local bar and downing whatever swill they have, um, hour after hour. Um, you can do it in the comfort of your own home, and I like to, it's nice to come home after a hard day's work for me, and do a little reading.
Yeah.
And have something to, have a bunch of stuff to choose from.
Yeah, I think I like that feeling more than the actual drinking, is the like looking at over everything and deciding like what is going to be the perfect fit for what how you're feeling. And then I think about Truckin' and Tuckin', he built his 9-bottle bar using 3 bottles that you suggested, 3 bottles that he chose, and 3 bottles that I chose. And he ended up with this like great mix of bourbons and Irish whiskey and scotch. And so you can make literally any cocktail, with any type of whiskey. This one takes rye, I've got it. This one takes Canadian, I've got it. And he has the benefit of, if he sees one of those 9 types on sale, he just buys it, knowing that he'll get to it eventually. He's not stocking 2 sets of shelves almost completely full of random bottles of this and that. And because that's the other thing, like I have these bottles like this one that I tried this at a bar. It's awful. It's one of the worst whiskeys I've ever had. And yet I own this sealed bottle of Backstage whiskey that I bought, I don't know how long ago. It was on a clearance rack, so it was like $8. I don't like the whiskey. I'm never going to open it to serve to anyone. It's swill, so it's not like, people will buy bottles like Blanton's or E.H. Taylor and leave them sealed and then sell them in 15 years for a huge markup. It's not going to be worth anything in 15 years. It's going to still just be this like, you bought a Backstage whiskey because you work backstage places. That's kind of clever. But so like, why am I carrying this around? This one has no purpose on this bar other than, because I wouldn't serve it to anyone either. Wouldn't be like, oh, you got to try this. Like I only give people whiskey that I think that they will like based on the stuff that they have tried before.
Yeah.
Or something that I like that I want to see if they'll like it. And I know nobody who likes Southern whiskey. I guess Uncle Buck might like it.
But that one, I can see, you the argument you make for that one is like, it means something to me, even only a little bit.
There's a whole big story to go with that bottle.
Yeah.
So I guess there is something there. But you become a stoic, like the kung fu guy, just sell everything, wander the streets.
I thought you were talking about
Jackie Chan.
No, wrapping a cord around my neck and
killing yourself, doing that thing, that exercise deal where you have the garden hose and you just kind of spin it in your hands.
Boy, I forgot about that. What a weird thing.
It was a weird thing. That's a great issue, Tim. I wish you all the best in trying to decide what is worth keeping and what is not worth keeping. But that brings us to the middle of our episode, which means it's time for...
This episode is brought to you in part by the Ricada News Network. Definitely not fake news.
Well, Tim, what news do we have today?
Our first news story comes from Hollywood. There is a hot new TV series into movie reboot coming out this year. The trailer for it just came out, and Tab, if you could click play on that link I sent you.
Give me just 1 second.
Sure.
I didn't realize that was going to be the first news story. I would have had this better prepped. Anytime now, computer. So this should be the right button. All right, here we go. Are you hearing it?
Yep.
Rob Zombie, the director of House of a Thousand Corpses, Halloween, and The Devil's Rejects, brings you the greatest love story ever told.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that.
Think of it. The brain of a super genius transplanted into the body of a perfect physical specimen.
I want a man that makes my blood run cold. A man that every time he enters my crypt, it's like a stake through my dead black heart.
I can whip the upper humpy down in the lamb.
Oh no. Remember what happened last time?
He was battered.
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Looking for a vision, a queen, true love.
What exactly do you want?
Is Herman Munster in there?
Uh-huh.
I knew the moment I laid eyes on you that you were special. I understand if you don't feel the same. I'm just a regular gal living a boring, normal life.
If there's one thing I know, is that the rest of the world melted away as soon as you appeared in my life.
It seems Miss Lily is truly in love.
Oh, come on. You know, and I know that we got to get
How
rid of
much
that
longer is
bozo
this?
Herman Munster.
Greetings from Transylvania. That's a strange way of saying hello.
Oh, I guess we're gonna have to get used to it.
That's that looks like a Funny or Die.
It looks worse than a Funny or Die sketch. It looks like they gave Neil Breen about $5,000 extra for his next movie. He somehow got the rights to the Munsters.
I'm truly perplexed and confused as to what the hell even is happening there.
I'm confused as to why they let Rob Zombie do it.
And it doesn't look like a Rob Zombie movie though, so I guess that's a compliment. But it looks like it was made by 14-year-olds, like in the park.
Yeah. There's some terrible CG in it. It looks like everyone is Arrested Development. Was it season 5 or was it season 4 where they had to green screen all the actors together?
Oh, 4 where nobody was in the same room at the same time. Yeah.
It looks a lot of it looks like that. Oh boy, I don't know about you, but I grew up watching that show.
I didn't, because the Munsters was stupid and terrible when it was on, and I thought that it was fucking lame. And one of my favorite things about the Munsters is the movie Pet Sematary, where Herman Munster gets his Achilles tendon sliced by a child and then murdered.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
I wish that My Cousin Vinny had ended with someone bursting into the courtroom and shotgun blasting in the face Herman Munster to death. Mm-hmm. Because he's a huge piece of shit in that movie. I'm starting to think about it. I don't like the actor that plays Herman Munster. I don't like the Munsters. The whole fucking thing is stupid. I'd much rather watch the Addams Family, which is good. Mm-hmm. But the Munsters is great value Addams Family.
Sure. Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that.
The lady, Mrs. Munster. Mm-hmm. Not attractive at all.
Well, that's because it's Rob Zombie's wife.
Well, not like Morticia Addams.
There you go.
It was a smoke show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the whatever the Netflix movie of this would have been, would have been 10 times better.
Oh yeah, this looks like an asylum film.
Yeah.
We're releasing the from 20th Century Fox Studios. The Addams Family is back, and then from the asylum, The Munsters 2022 Reborn.
It looks worse than the TV movies. Like back when
TV
in the
Munsters movies.
Yeah, in the early 90s, they did a bunch of old sitcom TV movie reboots. You know,
Yeah,
the Brady Bunch, and there was a Munsters one. Those look better than this.
I'd rather watch AIDS just slowly eat someone to death, like in Philadelphia, than
that.
Holy shit.
Our next news story is about Elon Musk, kind of. Guess what? Elon Musk is a. So I wanted to say that he's now has a new family member title, but it's not really now. I'm trying to think of how to say this.
And
Elon Musk is now a brother uncle.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
So he married someone's daughter that's his kid or something?
Elon Musk's dad, who is 76, recently confirmed he has a secret second love child with his 35-year-old stepdaughter.
Okay. So how does that make Elon a brother uncle?
Because it's his sister's kid, making him an uncle. But it's also his dad's kid, making the kid also his brother.
Oh, okay. I see that. So it's less about Elon Musk and more about like his creepy, crazy dad.
Yeah, but Elon likes at least the way he comes off to me is that he's better than everyone else.
Okay,
and especially like that's one of the immediate jokes you can make about someone that doesn't live on the
planet Earth,
on the coast. On the coast is you're either in a northern snowy flyover state, or you're in the south where it's full of racism and incest. And he's a brother uncle.
I don't think Elon thinks he's better than himself. To me, he's like the internet personified. So it's not so much. I think that he's like equal parts self-loathing and total hype. And that's why he does what he does.
Oh.
His Twitter bid fell through. That's unfortunate.
And they're going after him to have him go through with it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they were promised money, and he bailed out of it, and so now they're like, we want that money. We want that donut money. Yeah. But people speculated.
But if you list a bottle of whiskey on Craigslist, and someone's like, I'll give you $200 for that bottle. And you're like, all right, I'm on my way. And then on your way, I text you and be like, I will give you $180 for that bottle. But since you know me, give it to me. It's a better deal. You say, okay. And then the guy's like, hey, I'm going to sue you for not selling me that bottle of whiskey.
But there was no other offer, and there's a contract involved.
I guess. I don't know.
But there's speculation that this was intentional, like that he intentionally didn't go through with it because he was trying to show that they are basically bolstering their numbers to like trick
and maybe
users.
It'll come out in the lawsuit.
Exactly. We'll see though. I don't know if I believe it or not.
Yeah.
A lot of people believe that Trump was playing 4D chess, and I think he might have just been a retard who hit the right button too many times in a row, as opposed to like people think that Trump had this 4D chess thing going on, and he because he did so much right, but it's like a retard hitting a button is going to be right 50% of the time.
Yeah.
Whereas an evil globalist hitting the button is always going to hit the wrong button intentionally.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Well,
so by comparison, he looks very competent.
Well, speaking of whiskey, our next news story is actually about whiskey, a very specific kind of whiskey.
Which kind?
Well, there's a distillery called Tamworth Distilling. They have a new whiskey called Crab Trapper.
Is that from Ireland?
No, it's from New Hampshire.
Oh, that'd be on.
And it's a whiskey that gets some of its flavor from green crabs caught off the coast of New Hampshire.
Weird.
Apparently, they're an invasive pest species that have been plaguing the area for more than 200 years. They're so abundant that it's going to take a lot of whiskey to curb the population, but they're hoping that this sort of brings awareness to the issue. They say that because this is the quote from them. This is how you know that they are not particularly hopeful about the sales of this whiskey. The opening quote is, "People are going to hear crab whiskey, and I'd venture to say 3/4 of them are going to go, no, absolutely not. But if you can get them to taste it, they totally change their tune for the most part."
Oh, I'll taste it. Send me a bottle. P.O. Box HWIDG, St. Louis, Missouri 63116. Send it down here. I'll try it. I'll add it to the shelf. Fuck it. I'll have a crab whiskey shelf. It'll just be the one bottle.
Yep. They say the crabs are cleaned and prepared just like any other crab you might order at a restaurant. They make a crab stock out of them. Then they distill the crab stock itself using a vacuum still. The stock is then mixed with spices like mustard seed, coriander, and cinnamon, then combined with a bourbon base. They describe it as a thinking, sipping whiskey meant for you to explore your own perception through your olfactory senses.
Okay, I hate when people describe whiskey. God, I fucking hate
people
describing whiskey. It's the douchiest stuff.
Yeah.
Explore and sip and savor the flavors of crab while you slide away into the state where we live free or die. Get a little taste of down-home country cooking with our sweet, delicious crab bourbon. Shut the fuck up and pour the whiskey.
Yep.
Have you been here before? No, I have not. Let me tell you about our restaurant. Shut the fuck up.
Well, our last news story is a local story.
Which one?
An Oklahoma man.
That's you.
Yeah. Made a confession to the police of killing a fellow fisherman this past weekend, or maybe it was a week.
Because he was jinxing him?
No. They said that Larry Sanders, who is the man that is confessing, and Jimmy Knighton had gone noodling in the South Canadian River. They got into a physical altercation. Larry claimed that while at the river, he discovered Jimmy intended to feed him to Sasquatch/Bigfoot. Larry indicated that Jimmy attempted to get away from him so that the Sasquatch could eat Larry. Larry would not let Jimmy get away. Larry punched Jimmy and struck him with a stick. They fought for an extended amount of time on the ground, and Larry confirmed that he killed Jimmy by choking him to death near the river. He then drew a map and shared details of where investigators could find his body. They found the body on Sunday. So yeah, this guy killed his fisherman buddy because he thought that the guy wanted to feed him to Bigfoot.
Why when you were reading the names, in my head I was picturing that they all referred to themselves in third person.
Oh,
like Larry's going to feed Jimmy to the Sasquatch. Jimmy's not going to let Larry feed Jimmy to the Sasquatch. Jimmy's going to show Larry what's what.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's an official document, so it reads weirdly.
Of course it does. They all do. I had to write an official document today.
Really?
I had to do that thing, where you're 25 parentheses 25 end parentheses, like someone's too fucking stupid to know what 25 means.
Wait,
do all that kind of stuff.
Oh, you typed it out as a word and then had to parenthesize the numbers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I was writing a legal contract
Uh-huh.
for a job that I don't have anymore.
Yeah.
So that was the other funny thing. Let's going back to recapping this week. So I went out to, and I thought about bringing this in as an issue, but I decided against it. I went and did that loadout with you there in Tulsa, and a lot of people were happy to see me because I haven't been there in a month, and some people not so happy to see me, and they just didn't say anything. But some of the people, one of the guys I was talking to, let's call him Jay. He's a fork op, and he was like, "Oh, hey, it's good to see you. What have you been up to?" And we got to chatting, and I was telling him about my new job and everything, and he was like, "Oh, that's great. It's too bad we lost you, but it sounds like you're doing all right, so I'm happy for you." And I said, "Well, yeah, thanks, I appreciate that." He goes, now that you're gone, they just blame everything on you. Anything that goes wrong, it's like, "Oh yeah, Tab did," and then they'll just fill in the blank. And I said, "Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I've moved away. There's no one I can't defend myself against it, and so it's easier for them to just say like, 'Oh yeah, that's all Tab's fault,' rather than admit that like there are systemic problems that nobody has wanted to address for the last however long." And so then we're chatting more, and he said, "Yeah, but you know what I think makes it a lot more clear that this stuff isn't your fault is that they hired 5 people to replace you. When they hired that many people to replace a job one person's doing, it means that person was doing way more jobs than they should have been doing."
It sounds, yeah. I mean, at least they fixed that part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. But
at least they didn't. They're not, slamming another person down with the 5 jobs worth of duties, and letting them rot away.
Yeah. I don't even care anymore because now instead of managing an entire city, I manage a little theater and one show at a time. I get to spend time at home watching television. It's great. So anyway, well, this has been
the Ricada News Network. Definitely not fake news.
Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put this banner up for the Ricada News Network that I was going to show. Oh well, but now we can go on to. Well, that takes care of our legal obligation this week. But you know what it doesn't take care of, Tim?
What?
Sending boxes of shit to everyone that I used to work with who's been blaming me for all of their problems. If you want to help me with that, you can visit us at patreon.com/HWIDG, which stands for
Here's What I Don't Get,
which is the name of the show. And over there, we have 5 tiers. We have the $1 tier, which gets you early access to each week's episode, plus our monthly minisodes. We have our $2 tier. We throw the random bits and bobs we do now and again. We have our $5 tier. We do our monthly bonus episodes. Here's What I Do Get, where we drop the hate and talk about what's great. We have our $10 tier, where you, the fan, submit a film. You vote on what film we watch, and we watch and record a feature-length commentary. And then finally, we have our $50 Spite Producer tier, where you get a say in the show. We just had someone request to have Andy on a couple weeks ago as a guest host. I've got another guest host requested via Spite Producing that's probably going to be next week.
Awesome.
So, yeah, thank you to all our patrons, big and small. And, we had that voicemail last week saying that we hadn't released anything in all year, and they were absolutely right to complain because we haven't. But last Saturday, I think, I released a mini-sode that we recorded in Tulsa, and a bonus episode that we had recorded actually months ago that somehow got like buried in everything else. And so I've got a list now of everything we need to make up, and we'll be making those up before and after the currently slated end of the series.
Yep.
So thank you to all our patrons, big and small, for supporting the show. You've helped make it possible for nearly 6 years. Without you, we wouldn't be doing this. And so we just want to say thank you to everybody. But let's get back into some issues, Tim, on this big episode 294. Here's what I don't get. Talkbacks. Now, this is a theater one. So a lot of times in theater, they'll do like shows. It'll be the first time they've done them, or maybe it's like a politically expedient show, or maybe they're just like really hyped about themselves, and they'll do this thing that's a talkback. So what happens is you go pay to go see a play or musical or whatever, and then the show ends. They have their like final moment. I'm gonna go out and become a dentist. The lights go down and do a blackout. The music starts playing, and the lights come back up, and everybody's clapping. And they come out and bow, and you're like, "Oh, thank God it's over." That was the longest 3.5 hours of my entire life. I'll just have to clap for the next 90 seconds, and then as soon as these house lights go up, I am fucking bolting from here and going to the nearest bar where I'm just gonna get hammered because I can't fucking take any of this anymore, and I can't believe my wife or girlfriend dragged me along to this piece of shit. And here comes the star, and now they're doing their big lineup, and thank God it's over. Woo! And you're like ready. You're kind of all, you got your jacket in one hand, your arms are on the arms of your seat. You're ready to just. Actually, you're already standing because we just give standing ovations away these days. But you're ready to just bolt, and you're about to turn. Some guy with the microphone comes out there. He's like, "Hey, everybody! Thanks for coming to the show today. We're actually going to do a talk back. So the cast is going to get changed back into their regular clothes real quick. But I'm Tab Bird. I'm the director of Here's What I'll Get Here, and we just want to, if you have any questions about the show, maybe you wanted to ask before." We get the cast out here to ask them some questions. And we also have the playwright here. The playwright's right here if you want to ask them questions about the show. And then you end up sitting there for 30 to 45 minutes while all the morons around you ask simple and frankly retarded questions to the people that wrote this. Like, so I noticed your play had white people and black people in it and that they were kind of opposed to one another. What do you think the meaning of that was? Well, I was trying to illustrate how white people and black people are different. That if we work together, maybe we have it's the same generic cookie cutter stuff. This is a question for the actors. What do you do to prepare for the role? We did 6 weeks of rehearsal.
I learned my lines.
Oh, you wanted more than that? You have the director answering, but that's the thing is that those questions are never the simple answer, right? Where it's like, where did the props come from? Lowe's. They came from Lowe's. We bought a bunch of styrofoam and carved it into laser swords. It's always like someone talking about turning it into being about them and their process. And one of the funniest things was that on this, so I did a show that had a talk back this week. That's why I'm bringing this in. So someone was asking about the choreography of the scene changes and how they move with the rhythm. And one of the actors answered, and then they're like, "Oh, let's give it to the choreographer and have her explain how things work." And then the director goes, "Oh yeah, well also we have backstage staff. Backstage staff, come out here." And one backstage staff person comes out and they're like, "Yay, backstage person. That's so good." And the choreographer's like, "Yeah, so actually one of the ways we did this is a lot of," and then another backstage person comes out and they're like, "Yay, this backstage person," and the director's like, "Yeah, this is person A, this is person B, they work backstage." Okay, cool. And then the choreographer goes, "Yeah, so anyway, actually what we do is a lot of," and then a third backstage person comes out, "Yay!" So she could not get a fucking word out, and the director keeps introducing these people. You asked her to explain this, now you've completely ignored what she's saying. She was the only one that had anything intelligent to say during this specific talk back, because 90% of the time, like I said, it's just people being like, "Well, yeah, I'm a very spiritual person, so I tried to get in the spirituality of my character, and the director told me what to do a bunch." And I just watching that it just makes me grit my teeth every time. And I've had to go to so many of them. When I was in college, we had ACTF respondents to our shows, and so in those, and it was like a talk back, but there was only one person asking the questions. So you'd have these ACTF respondents come in. They would usually ask a couple of questions to the lighting designer or give the lighting designer a couple of notes.
Mm-hmm.
They would talk to the scenic designer for a little bit, and then it would be 35 minutes of actor talk.
Yeah.
And they were excruciating because 9 times out of 10, I was the sound designer. They have no idea what I did. And so they would have nothing for me. I like the music in that one scene. Anyway, back to you guys acting. You're so incredible. You're really emoting and movement, and you're really working on it. And guy who plays the bear, I really understood that you were a bear with the way you're moving. And meanwhile, I'm just standing there I could be doing literally anything else from this. And so one night, and we were required to go to them. So one night I was working my job that I try and make money, and I get this call that's like, "Oh, By the way, the ACTF respondent is actually going to be here tonight, not tomorrow night. And I had asked for the tomorrow night off so that I could do that fucking stupid thing.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, yeah, you have to be here. So I talked to my boss. My boss let me leave early. I raced the 30 minutes it took me to get back to campus from my work because I worked in Oklahoma City and I went to school in Norman. Parked, got into the theater just as the show ended, and they're like, all right, here's the respondent. He said nothing to me. It took an hour and 15 minutes, and I went to my advisor the next Monday and I said, I'm fucking done. I am not coming to another one of these for the rest of the time I am here. I am not going to waste any more of my fucking time with these people who have no idea what I'm doing and nothing to say to me. I don't give a shit about the actors. The actors are just things that move for my light to hit. That they have their purpose. I'm all in for it, but unless the respondent is going to be someone who actually specializes in the technical side of things, because that's the thing is that ACTF respondents were always like professors from other nearby schools, Texas or Kansas or Missouri, whatever. And in any theater department, you have like 1 or 2 or 5 design professors. And sometimes you have one person that does it all. Sometimes you have like it's all broken out. But you have like a dozen acting professors. You have like clowning and movement and voice and diction and basic acting and Shakespearean acting. And so if you just roll the die of if you just randomly picked out of a hat from all the professors in like the Southwest region of theater at all the colleges that have theater programs, more than half the time you're going to pull an actor out. And actors don't know how any of our stuff works. So they'd come in there and they would just talk to the actors about acting things. It was a huge waste of time. So I think I went to one more because it was a lighting design professor from another nearby college. And that person, it was the exact opposite. And the actors were all pissed. It was hilarious because he was like, I wasn't the lighting designer on that. I was the sound designer, but he was like asking the lighting designer a bunch of questions. He asked me a few questions. He talked to the scene designer about a bunch of stuff. And he was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, your actors were fine. You know, you're actors. I don't give a shit. And it was great. And then if they wouldn't tell me who was going to be or what they did, I wouldn't go. And of all the times I didn't go, only one time was there a note about my design.
Nice.
Which is shocking for the number of shows that I designed while I was in college.
Yeah.
And I hate talkbacks. You're not that interesting. Actors aren't, Carl came on this show and he brought an actor podcast and talked about how actors aren't interesting. And he's absolutely right. They think they're a lot more interesting than they are because all they're doing is playing pretend. You and I could get up here and pretend to be on the bridge of the Enterprise and act out a little scene. Now, is it going to be as good as someone who's like a professional actor? Probably not. But with you and me, that's anybody can do it. It's not like a hard thing.
Not only can anyone do it, but they always make sure that the people on the technical side are forced to take acting classes.
That's also true. Yeah, you don't have to like go do a lighting design for a dance program when you're an actor, but you do have to go audition for shows when you're a designer.
Yeah.
And my undergrad program was pretty well balanced in that like the actors had to take all of these tech classes and they did have to take a design course. I think you could choose from between them, but it's not one of the. It's just not anything that anybody actually wants to hear. The people that are there are just asking questions because it's awkward to sit there and stare at people. And the faster you people stop asking questions, like I'm pretty sure that you could just write a paper and put it in the playbill. Like, here's to answer all your talkback questions. If you have something that's not on this list, then you can stay and ask something interesting. The one that I did, though, they had the playwright on via Zoom, and all the questions were to the actors. So this playwright is on a projection screen. He's 10 feet tall. He looks like this, just staring into the screen of his laptop while the people are asking questions on stage, visibly growing bored. and then someone would talk to him over here, and he'd be muted and be like, "Yeah, I'm on this talkback." Oh, yeah, they're just asking stupid actor stuff. Nobody could possibly be interested in any of this. I don't even think people realize oh, wait, wait, someone's asking something. Oh, they're not talking to me. Sorry, go ahead. It was funny. I felt bad for that guy.
Yeah.
But not so much. Not because he wrote the play, so he kind of deserves to have his time wasted. I don't deserve to have my time wasted. Nobody asked any questions about actually. So I wasn't the designer on this, but I did program one solitary element. Like the line designer was like, "Yeah, we need this aquarium," and I said, "All right, wait, I got you. Check this out." I go on my console and I do one of my favorite effects, something that I have done dozens of times, and I made like water. The little rippling light of water. One of my favorite little effects that I can build with pretty much any light rig. And she's like, "Wow, this is so great." And she copy pasted it all over the rest of the show.
Nice.
Yeah. So then someone was like, "I really liked how there was all the water in the show, like the waving and undulating and stuff." And I said, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, that was me. That's pretty cool." Someone noticed my cool water design.
Yeah.
That I got no credit for.
Well, that's the same thing is it's parroted through, all of media where the actors are the ones that get all, when there's a press tour for a movie, it's not the director and the cinematographer going around talking about the movie. I mean, maybe at a festival it is, but the press tour is like the top 5 billed actors, right? There's no, what did James Lipton host?
Inside the actor studio.
Inside the actor's studio.
Yeah.
No one else's studio. It's the actor's studio.
Yeah, and if you want to find that stuff out about like the cinematographer and what they were looking at, you have to go watch all the behind the scenes stuff. But even then, a lot of times it's interviews with the interviews with actors. It's all no one's ever like, yeah, the director's kind of a retard and basically functionally illiterate. It's always like, oh yeah, Greg is so great. Like he has such a grand vision and he just knows what he wants and he tells us and he sees the show in his head before he does it. And it's so great working with Tim because he is he's so giving, and we would be in rehearsal and we would kind of play with these things. And sometimes you were not even sure, like, are we working on the show? Or are we just having fun? And it's just so much dick sucking that becomes to be too much. And that's, I like watching the behind the scenes stuff on movies to find out about things like, how did the podcast, how did this get made? Yeah. To me, that podcast should be about the process of making a movie, but instead it's just about like recapping the plot while making unfunny jokes.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago. Now it's about June Shear talking about being a feminist cunt and Paul Shear being completely unlikable, and Jason Mantzoukas being crass. And
I've only ever listened to like half of one episode of that show. So
you're not. Was it the Rhinestone episode?
It was aside from that episode, it was the junior episode.
Yeah, and you were like, these people don't fundamentally don't understand this movie.
Yeah,
because the couple of episodes of that show that I've listened to movies that I either like or know a lot about, and they're like, "What even happened in this movie? I don't even know." It's like, were you fucking texting on your phone the entire time, you dumb bitch?
Of course they were.
Yeah, that's the answer. So anyway, that's my issue. Talkbacks. Like, can you imagine if someone asked us questions about like this episode in the next 35 minutes? So when you were ranting on and on, was there a specific person that maybe you were talking about? Yes, there was. Thank you, Tim. When you were talking about material goods, what kind of stuff do you think you'll get rid of first? The heaviest stuff. Leave me alone.
You, hopefully, with this.
Tim, did you know that you moved several guns into my house?
No,
they were totally hidden. I had them completely camouflaged.
Nice.
Pretty well done, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, usually it's hard to hide a gun in a Blu-ray case, but you did it.
No, actually, so that box was, it wasn't my Blu-rays. That was my bowling balls. I don't know why the box got labeled Blu-rays. It's so stupid. I probably because they both start with B's. I was like, Blu-ray.
Now we got to redo my whole issue.
Well, Tim, what's your second issue this week?
Here's what I don't get. Highway driving. Now, Tab, you do a lot of inter and intrastate driving.
Yes.
Here and there. You really like doing it. My question is why?
Because I'm good at it.
Yeah, you're good at it, but you know who isn't good at it?
Anybody else?
Everyone else.
Yeah.
Everyone else sucks at it. And I know you come back from these trips and you'll give me like I was behind this guy and he wouldn't move over, and I was behind this guy and he was, being slow. That's 99% of highway driving.
Yeah. No, that's the thing is the stories that I'll tell are like that top 1% of people that are bad at it. But there are like 9 other cars that were just cruising in the left lane for no fucking reason that also drive me nuts, but not in so much that I want to go like, you guys. It's not share-worthy. It's the mundane.
It's the mundane, but it's the it's not just the mundane, it's the norm now. Me and Chuck and were on the road for about 12 hours the last, Monday, Tuesday, I guess it was Monday, Tuesday. Yeah. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it was. About 12 hours total. And, 11 and a half of that was spent, in the left lane waiting for the person in front of us to eventually go faster than the semi truck in the right lane.
Yeah.
So when you're highway driving, right, you see a lot more semis. And we came across this patch of land in Missouri that we called Dead Tire Mile, because for a solid full mile and like stretching out, like getting a gradient, lower and lower after that, was about a full solid mile of just destroyed tires on the road. I'm talking dozens and dozens of destroyed tires in a 1 mile stretch.
Someone probably blew up with some tires.
For the 4th? Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know how we have a couple of people that are truckers that listen to the show.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking directly to them. Why?
I think the answer to that is very simple, as the money. But
not just why you're a trucker, but like how and why do you lose so many tires?
Yeah, 704-750-9434. Tell us why you lose so many tires.
It was gobsmacking.
The thing to me with that highway driving, so on the way back, I was driving this U-Haul that was loaded down with all my stuff. And so Fred Rush, one of the listeners to the show and big contributor to the See You Next Tuesday podcast network, he and I have had like conversations. We've talked about the struggles of highway driving, and one of the things he's talked about is that it's always annoying. You'll get next to the semi truck, and on the downhills you'll have more weight, so you'll go faster, but on the uphills he has less weight, so he can accelerate up, and you ends up driving you crazy. And I had never experienced that because I'm always just going faster than the trucks are, until I was driving this big U-Haul. And there was a solid 2 hours where there was this one semi truck that I kept like uphill he would beat me, or uphill I would beat him, and downhill he would beat me, and we just kept trading positions and passing one another, and it was making me fucking crazy. It's, to me, I think maybe it's because I'm wired differently. Like there's a zen of the highway driving. I hate the city driving where you're stopping and going and you're like fucking people are turning in and out constantly. I like the zen of just setting the cruise control, finding that speed that is like the perfect balance between speeding and not getting caught, and that your car is not going to explode. And kind of riding in that coast zone as far and as fast as you can. Like I love taking these road trips where I get in the car and it says, 17 hours to Nashville, and you'll arrive at 4 p.m. And then I arrive at Nashville having stopped for gas twice and eaten food, and it's like 3:15.
Yeah.
So I shaved off all of my stops plus a bonus, and there's something like making good time. Like George Costanza is just as fun as getting there, and I think that's maybe that's why I'm not as bothered by the mundane. And also, it's like my dad is really, I don't know if Truckin' and Tuckin' is like this, but my dad won't pass people on the right, which makes me nuts because I'll just pass. If I'm cruise control on and I'm going faster than this person, they're in the left lane for no fucking reason, I'll pass them on the right, no problem. Yeah. But I wish that I had like
if you're not going crazy, if you're not speeding like crazy.
Mm-hmm. I wish I had like a side firing shotgun that when I drove past someone like that, I could fire out the side of my car and just pepper the side of their door. So when someone passes them again, they're like, that guy got passed on the right because they were driving too fucking slow in the left lane.
Here's the other thing. I was thinking about the tires, right? Now you could make the argument that because trucks have more tires, there are more tires to like blow on the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But how often do you see like regular car tires blown on the road?
I don't know. It's mostly truck tires because they're made differently than ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our
tires are disposable. You can like retread. You can retread semi-truck tires.
I don't think they last that long, based on just the pure percentage of the ones on the road I've seen.
Yeah. I do hate when like you come crest a hill and there's a big piece of tire in the middle of the road and you got to swerve suddenly to dodge it, or the car in front of you like sees it and swerves last second and you're kind of too close. And
someone should make a video game that is like Mad Max highway driving with your car shotgun, the Winter Soldier disc grenade thing, all the various car weapons we've talked about through the years.
Yeah, that would be a cool game. And then, like, if you're in the left lane for more than a mile and there are no cars in the right lane, or you're not appreciably gaining on a car ahead of you, your car just explodes and you lose the game. I wonder if that's like the future. If the future of driver's ed involves a VR game where you
absolutely.
You think about the simulators that we had when we were in school. Simulator. Yeah, we got to go into the simulator.
Yeah.
Those were basically worthless.
Yes.
So in high school we both took driver's ed through our school, and they had these simulators where you literally watched like a video and you were supposed to just mimic the actions of what was happening in the video, but there was absolutely no haptic feedback. Like the wheel didn't feed itself back to center. The brakes had no feeling.
And you had no like sense of what position your car was in.
That too. And so you could very lightly accelerate and follow hand over hand every turn and signal everyone, or you could just jam the gas pedal full down and spin the wheel fully to one side and fully to the other and then slam the brakes over and over again, and both people would end up with the same score at the end of the day because they made no fucking sense. But I'm thinking you take that basic layout, right? It's basically just a glorified racing sim.
Yeah.
You slap a VR goggle headset on there. Now you can see your gauges and everything. And you drop someone in a virtual world where you can like say, all right, this guy's going to pull out in front of him. And you could have a much better driving simulator. And you could make it where if you drive on the highway for too long in left lane, your car explodes until it just kind of, the way we've buried into people's heads the click it or ticket, we need like left lane passing only. We need some rhyme that people can remember so they'll get the fuck out of the left lane and stop impeding the flow of everything. That's why I like areas. One of the only things I like about California is that California has a semi-truck speed limit of 55 miles an hour. while the rest of the highway is 70 or 65 or whatever.
Huh.
So the trucks all just line up going 55, and that's fine. And cars are able to cruise on past them. I've said it many times. We need 2 fucking roads, a road for us and a road for them. Both of us would be happier because then you don't have one of the places on my drive back up to St. Louis. I'm coming down a hill where it narrows down to 1 lane, and a semi truck just blasted by everyone on the left and then merged over at the very last second, ran 2 cars off the road. I would have been one of them, but I saw what he was doing and slowed way the fuck down before that. And I was just like, how do you still have a trucker's license? Yeah, put them on their own roads, put us on our own roads, and let's separate but equal. We need a land for the cars and a land for the truckers. The way when you pull into a truck stop, it'll be like autos only, trucks enter here, no cars. We've already got it started. We just need to continue it further. Yeah, that's a great issue, Tim. I can't wait for you to have to drive back up here again in a few weeks.
Yeah.
For the big finale of the show. We're going to do it live in person out here. But this time you're taking a Greyhound bus. Actually, it would probably be less stressful because you just be in the back of the bus reading and completely oblivious to whatever the driver was doing up ahead. Well, that wraps it up for episode 294 of Here's What I Don't Get. I'm Tab Burt.
I'm Tim the Handlebreaker.
Until next time.
See ya.
If you want to call in the Here's What I Get Hotline, call us at 704-750-9434 and tell us what you don't get. Or you can leave us a voicemail on the Discord under voicemail upload. Didn't look like we had any of those today, but we do have a bunch of voicemails on the voicemail hotline. Here's our first one.
Hey, boys. Steven up here in Montana. Here's what I don't get. Wildly inaccurate dialogue options in video games. Playing through Mass Effect Legendary, I got 2 examples for you. Your option is, it's good to see you. What he actually says, Garrett, what are you doing here? Or, here's an option, status report, now. Instead he says, what the hell just happened? The first option would work. I want to say that. Click on the thing that I want to say and say that. I don't get it.
It's just like Fallout 4. Sarcastically, I'm in charge.
Yeah, I don't know why they bother putting the wrong input in when they know what is coming out of the mouth.
You have the script. You would think that it would be a very simple thing to patch, but who knows? Here's one for you.
Tim, I have an idea. So I think I can speak for all of us that you've grown on us when you became a host after Buck left, like a huge faggot. However, you took up the slack and you're awesome. You contributed to the show greatly, and I don't say that lightly. One of your great segments was reading the news, finding hilarious stories from around the world, and you're wonderful at delivering the news. So if HWIDG has to end, I think Tim should start a new podcast on the See You Next Tuesday network, where you give us a weekly 20-plus minute podcast and tell us the news. You can be the host of the Ricada News Network and tell us all sorts of hilarious and glorious things. So, yeah, I even started a Patreon for it. I'll sub it.
The RNN show.
Also, speaking of Patreon, please keep that going. Now that the show is ending, I'm going to start listening to all of the bonus content that I have access to, but I just haven't really listened to any of it. So I want to start doing that. So keep all that stuff up.
Yeah, I'm going to see if there's a way to not take donations, but do.
I believe so.
You should be able to just keep your private RSS feed, and all that stuff should be available. So yeah, no intentions to delete any of that.
Hey guys, got a great idea for a new drinking game for the podcast. Every time you guys say Chotsky, take a freaking shot. Played with a buddy of mine on this episode 293. He just died of alcohol poisoning.
Tchotchke? Did you say tchotchke again a lot in the last episode?
I guess so.
Well, wouldn't want to say tchotchke too much on this one, otherwise another buddy might die.
Tchotchke.
Must have been the guy that was living in the air compressor before me because he left some weird shit behind. Got another one.
Hey, Tim. Hey, Tad. There's something I've been wanting to bring up for a while. You both talked about the Terminator 2 being the perfect movie, one of the best movies of all time, or at least one of the best sequels of all time. Well, I did enjoy the movie, but I didn't think that it compared to the first movie. The first movie packed a punch. We had a killer machine go out and take out anybody who stood in his way. As for the second movie, we had a squeaky-voiced kid and a Terminator who really didn't kill anybody. The first movie, the Terminator killed about 40 people, give or take. But the second movie, he didn't kill anybody. The movie even rubbed it in your face when he had that awesome shootout with the cops with the minigun. But when he was done, there was 0.0 casualties. So why was the second Terminator being called Terminator? Why was it not called Sensitive Bitch Robot? Also, why was it called Judgment Day? That didn't happen until the third movie. Even in that movie, the Terminator didn't kill anybody. The Terminator in Salvation didn't kill anybody either. All he did was give John Connor his scars. Or fuck me, that fifth movie where we were supposed to have that awesome
Genesis?
awesome Arnold versus Arnold fight, which happened to end with a fucking sniper shot to the chest to the one Terminator after that stupid fucking line where he said,
I've been waiting for you.
You will not be needing any clothes.
Oh.
Such bullshit. Anyways, that Terminator didn't kill anybody either. They just had some like jerk off moment in that movie where they're loading up magazines with ammo while staring each other down, and that movie was also a waste of J.K. Simmons.
That was
then
a waste
finally
of J.K.
we get.
I forgot he was in that movie.
We get Dark Fate, I think it was called. Yeah. The Terminator walks out of the water and shoots John Connor and kills him. He comes out and kills a fucking kid. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Murders that squeaky voiced fuck. The first Terminator had 40 plus kills. Terminator Dark Fate had 1 kill. Therefore, Dark Fate is the best Terminator sequel.
Well, the Mexican robot guy, he kills like all those ICE agents.
Yeah, that's the difference. Is that the first movie, the Terminator is the bad guy.
Yeah.
From then on, it's Terminator versus. It's each side has Terminator.
Their own Terminator. Yeah. I think what makes Terminator 2 a perfect movie is that it has a kid in it, and you don't wish he would fall into the lava at the end. And that's really saying something for a film that has a child actor in it.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about The Goonies. How much did I want the caves to cave in and kill little Sean Astin? A lot. Well, here's another one. Some Sage.
Hey guys, it's Sage. Here's what I don't get. Clearly old cunts who work in shitty pizza shops and think that a $25 pizza is expensive. And then they get butthurt that I say that they work at Papa John's. And also they get butthurt that I didn't listen to their inane ramblings. So, also, buddy, you basically have the same job as Deadhelm, so that alone should make you want to kill yourself. So, fuck you. Tell me where you live. All right, bye.
Holy shit, Deadhelm. I never thought I'd ever enjoy one of your voicemails, and now you got me laughing myself to tears. I hope you do get to beat the shit out of Sage. After that, I hope you do get to fuck his mother.
They're going to team up.
Hell, I would even like to drive out there just to watch the fight, too. Keep up the great energy, Deadhelm. You'll be Sage's stepdad in a week.
It's a 2-on-1 spit swapping cage match.
Yep.
No, spit swapping makeout match.
Hey guys, Dead Helm here, and listening to this week's episode of WATP. Yeah, same fucking letters, just rearranged.
Not even close.
I've noticed something that this newer generation does. Newer generation of guys.
There's only one letter that's between both shows, W, and it's their first letter, and it's our second letter, WATP, HWIDG. I guess there's like a rhyme there in the WIDG, WATP, but we have a hut on the front. What up?
It's like, the people that are like, I'm 01, right? Born in 01, they're born 02, and they do this like male vocal fry. So they talk like this, and they're like, oh my god, it'd be so hot if bro pissed on me. Like, bro, fucking doesn't matter if his voice is like this, bro. Just fucking talk, Don't fucking be like, I can't do it because I'm currently trying to talk into the truck speaker and drive at the same time, but like this very deep, croaky voice, like you're fucking the emperor or something. Like, bro, grow up. Grow the fuck up. Just admit that your voice ain't that deep and fucking stop acting like a fucking pretty boy on your fucking TikTok. Stay furious. Oh, wait. Also, I have receded my half off thing. I'm down. Stage.
What?
I don't know.
I didn't understand that last bit.
We'd have to probably re-listen to his voicemail from last week.
Hey, it's Sage again. Also, Dead Helm, we are not doing a fucking WWE fake bullshit thing. Fuck you. Fuck you and your fucking saggy ass wrestling bullshit. It's a real fight. A physical fight, not fucking wrestling. All right, bye.
Chainsaws! Explosions! John Cena! Triple H!
Never not funny.
It'll never not be funny. I was driving, I got bored. I listened to that and Black Angus back to back.
Speaking of, Truckin' and Tuckin' was like expanding on a story. I thought he had told you. I'm pretty sure he has, but he at his work he gets there's a guy that calls a lot. And he's like real creepy.
Yeah.
Because he mentioned it because he was listening to the Creep Off.
Wait, Truckin' and Tuckin' is listening to the Creep Off now too?
Yeah.
Nice.
But he's got this guy creepy guy that calls at work, and it's this Mexican guy that he gets the call and he's like, "Hello, I pay you for sex." He just uses their number and he will just go on and like not hang up. And so he told everyone else in the call center, like, if that guy calls, route him over to me. And he put the John Cena theme on blast on repeat. And he said the guy withstood it for a lot longer than anyone you think anyone could.
Well, should be able to.
Yeah.
This is the last one.
Oh yeah, one more thing, Dead Helm. Sage will never do it. He'll never visit to fight you ever. Not you. Anybody who challenges him, he will never follow through with it. Why? Because he's a internet tough guy. He talks shit, but that's all he can do. He'll never do it. Sage will never fucking do it. You remember some of his voicemails? He clearly expresses how lazy he is, and his fucking back pains, complaining about people who cannot walk another 50 feet to an intersection crosswalk. Well, at the same time, he complains about not having access to handicapped parking because he cannot walk another 20 feet from his parking spot into work. Guy's incredibly fucking lazy. Sage, you are lazy. You contradict yourself so much over the fucking years. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I feel like we have to...
Congratulations, Dead Helm. you have a perfect fighting record.
I feel like we have to book a venue.
I feel like it's getting that close.
And do episode 300 live from a boxing ring.
Yeah.
And whoever shows up is the de facto winner. So Sage is the only one standing there. He's the winner. If Deadhelm's the one standing there, he's the winner. Mr. Kill Everything. It'll be great. We'll just have all the fights that we could ever want. So, yeah, those are all our voicemails this week. And thanks, everybody, for listening. Get your voicemails in for the big finale coming up here in another month or so. Who's going to have the final voicemail? Here's what I don't get.
Ooh.
Keep in mind, I play all the voicemails, but I don't necessarily play them in order. So I typically kind of bounce around. If someone's called in a bunch of times in a row, I'll split their voicemails up. So, get those voicemails in. Base Brian just asked on the YouTube, can the voicemail continue as its own podcast? We'll just set up a way that you call into Google Voice and it uploads a YouTube video of our logo with whatever your voicemail is, and you guys can fight back and forth for the rest of time. So anyway, here I'm gonna zoom out, and by zoom out I mean move the camera slightly back, and now people can kind of see a little bit more of the full scope of my debauchery when it comes to alcohol. I've got these like all sorted. You can't see the top of this, but it's Oklahoma and world whiskeys. Then I have 3 rows of bourbon, Japanese whiskey, Canadian whiskey. And on the other side, I have 2 rows of scotch, a thing of rye, a half a shelf of around the world whiskeys, American whiskey that's not bourbon. And then on the bottom is Irish whiskey.
Weird. I don't see that Indian whiskey we tried on the shelf there.
That's in the internationals.
Ah.
It's both of these. The Paul John that was terrible and the Amrut Fusion that was not so bad. Paul John, here's another bottle. This bottle will live on this shelf, never opened again, because it should not be served to human beings.
I mean, it shouldn't be served to. I wouldn't give that to a man dying of thirst in the desert.
Yeah, I would give it to someone who works for a call center, though, because those people are all pieces of shit. So, anyway. So thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. And until next week, I'm Tab Burt.
I'm Tim the Handlebreaker.
See ya.
Bye.
And I've stopped recording. See everybody on YouTube.